Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I hope you are doing well. An absolutely monster day in the markets today. The S&P was up close to 200 points. The Dow Jones was up 1,100 points. And at this rate, it'll only take us 2 days to get back to the highs that we achieved in February. Russell was up 3.5 percentage point. NASDAQ was up a whopping 4 percentage points. And the VIX, the volatility index, the fear index of the market, is down 16%. All is good. Now, interestingly, crypto did not have as good a day as equities generally. That being said, we did get some pretty positive crypto moves over the weekend. So a little bit of consolidation is to be expected. Tesla was up close to 7%. Taiwan Semiconductors were up 6%. Iris Energy, unlike a lot of other stocks in the crypto field, was up close to 7%. And looking at gold, back down to 3,200. As I mentioned, we don't want to be chasing. We don't want to be piling into the assets that have caught a hot streak. We want to be looking at the assets that are kind of down on their luck. And that's why we were looking at BTC plays and BTC derivative plays during the recent downturn. And that has turned out well for us. BTC is at 102 and Doge is at close to 23 cents. So let's talk about the many strong catalysts that I'm seeing on the horizon. Salamat Rashad, nice of you to stop in and moderate. Really appreciate it. So just to take account of the journey that we've been on, April 25th, not too long ago, China and the US, things were heating up between them in a big way. China and the US, as per the Chinese spokesman, are not having any consultation or negotiation on tariffs. US should stop creating confusion, is what the Chinese spokesperson said. Later in the month, we got China says it will never start negotiations with the US on trade unless the US abolishes all tariffs on China. And then all of a sudden, only a few days later, US-China trade truce. We get a 90-day pause in the US-China trade war following negotiations in Switzerland. The tariffs, as per this agreement, will fall from 145% to 30%. On Chinese goods, that is, Chinese goods entering the United States, the importer will pay 30% on that. Chinese tariffs on US goods will fall from 125% to 10%. And tariffs on specific sectors like steel, aluminum, and automobiles will remain, as do those related to China's role in the US fentanyl crisis. As we mentioned, markets responded very positively. And you can see here in the map of winners and losers, the Mag 7 was on fire today. Very understandably, Amazon, a lot of the things that they sell are related to China and would have gone up in price. And there was a lot of ambiguity regarding how much that would impact volume on their site. So Amazon is up 8%. As we said, Tesla is up close to 7%. NVIDIA is up 5%. Microsoft 2%. Google, Meta, all strongly in the green. What didn't do as well were some of the defensive plays in the market, but generally, as you can see, green all around. Now, speaking of catalysts, we do get the inflation read tomorrow. And if Trueflation is any guide to go by, we should get a decrease in the inflation month to month. But we'll see. The CPI hasn't really followed exactly Trueflation, but there has definitely been a correlation. If you look at the April closing number on Trueflation versus the March closing number, the April closing number is a lot lower. Oh, actually, I shouldn't say a lot, but it is lower. So hopefully we get a read tomorrow, which shows that we are making progress on inflation. Now, despite Trueflation, the market actually, in light of the recent developments with a trade deal with China, the market actually reduced the chance of a rate cut in July. The June chance of a rate cut is still less than 10%, but in terms of a rate cut in July, we went from basically a 40% chance that rates would remain unchanged to now a 60% chance, close to a 60% chance that rates would remain unchanged. So if we get a really positive number on inflation, it's very possible that this adjusts. I mean, the day that we had today was despite this readjustment in pricing of the probabilities of an interest rate cut. And therefore, if we get real progress on inflation, then the markets may start pricing in a more probable rate cut in July, which would lift the market even further. So that's another catalyst that could be coming just around the corner. If you're looking at specific assets, for example, Bitcoin, there are a lot of shorts that went into place after Liberation Day. If you look at Bitcoin, for example, there's $2 billion worth of shorts that will get liquidated if Bitcoin reaches a new all-time high. So we could have something like a vertical move for Bitcoin if we get close to that level. Bitcoin is currently only a few percentage points away from that previous all-time high. And so this means basically when shorts get liquidated, it means that they're forced to buy Bitcoin. So a lot of forced buying could bring up the price and bring along with it a lot of forced buying from shorts that are at higher prices. So we shall see. If you look at the weekly crypto asset flows, they are quite healthy. We have just concluded the third week in a row of positive flows into crypto-related ETFs, which is definitely a great sign. And we have a big week ahead in terms of numbers. As I mentioned, we get CPI tomorrow, we get PPI on Thursday, retail sales on Thursday as well. The Fed chair will talk on Thursday, and guess what he's going to say? He's going to say that they are data dependent. Go figure. University of Michigan consumer sentiment will come out Friday. Now, there is a lag there, obviously, so perhaps doesn't reflect, exactly where consumers are at the time being. I think consumers right now are feeling a lot better about the prospects of the economy, and rightly so, because a China deal that seemed improbable now seems, a lot more likely. And in other good news, if you look at, if you're wondering who won the recent skirmish between India and Pakistan, all you need to do is look at the performance, the relative performance of the manufacturers of the Rafael, the Indian plane, versus the J-10C, the Chinese plane, which the Pakistanis used. And the J-10C supplier is up 61%, and in the last 5 days, and India's Rafael maker is down 10%. So that should end the debate, basically. A lot of people talking things that they don't know about, but this ends the debate. That being said, it's very important that Pakistan build on this victory and get its internal affairs in order. I think someone like Imran Khan should be out of prison, should be restored to his rightful place, and the military should focus on military stuff and not get into politics. That being said, that's a bit removed from my normal or the normal topic of this channel, but it's my channel, so I'm going to say what I want to say. All right, so with that being said, let's go to questions. Zeki says, is the live at the same time every day? Well, obviously it's not. Try to be as consistent as possible, but yeah, I I'm going to try to make it closer to market close. That seems to be, I've tried a lot of different times, but I'm going to try and make it closer to market close, inshallah. Dr. Boss, nice to see you. On unrelated financial note, do you think any resolution to Gaza with Trump forcing is not real to allow release of Americans still don't trust Trump, honestly. To be honest, the signs coming out of the administration, like I've been a critic of the administration, but recent news has been quite positive. And so give credit where credit is due. It does seem like they are serious about ending the conflict there, a lot more serious than Israel, of course. But they've given, I think, the people of Gaza some hope. And so give credit where credit is due. I hope they are successful. And also, I was, skeptical about their ability to strike a deal with China. I think that, both sides kind of, looked into the future and thought, hey, this is going to be very painful. And so both sides kind of loosened their initial stance and loosened their initial position on things. And so it's good that the administration was able to walk back some of the things that they said. And that takes courage. It's not easy to change position, but I think they did, and yeah, they deserve credit for that. Rashad, brother Rakaan tries to be consistent, but life has its own surprises. That's indeed true. Does the global liquidity any difference since trade deals starting surfacing up? So I actually think I think we should have been in a bull market these past months. And what happened after Liberation Day was a surprise, but it was against sort of the natural order of things because liquidity was rising while the market was falling, and it was rising globally. And we know that there's a bunch of refinancing that needs to happen in the second half of this year, and therefore we know that rates are going to have to come down, and therefore we are due for even further liquidity increases. And that's why I was pretty sure that we're still in a bull market. And despite the macro headwinds, and as I always say, macro tends to solve itself. Just don't worry about it. Focus on the liquidity picture and the individual assets that you're invested in. And indeed, this time around, things appear to be validating what I've been saying. And so I think what we're going to do right now is catch up to where we should have been absent Liberation Day and everything that followed. That seems to be where the market is headed right now. So I just think that what we experienced in the last month, 45 days, was an aberration, and we should be going back to the natural movement of the market, which does follow liquidity. There's a high correlation there. I noticed we changed. Let's not talk about individual sell prices, brother. MEGD, that is for PIF members. Yeah, as Rashad said. Salam Rakaan, Bitdeer and Iron earnings this week. What do you expect? I'm hoping good things. I'm hoping hopefully we can build on this momentum. For Iris Energy, I would really like them to say something more concrete about partnership with, a hyperscaler, or really, solidifying their business in AI and high performance computing and data centers. We're already seeing a company like CoreWeave, which has a much inferior balance sheet to Iris Energy than being valued with multiples that are better than Iris Energy multiples. So, and CoreWeave was up like close to 15% today. So if Iris Energy can solidify itself as more than just a Bitcoin miner, then I think that this thing could really appreciate quickly. But we'll need to get some color from management more than just, oh, we're talking with people and things have been encouraging. We need more detail than that this time around. I hope they provide it. Now with Bitdeer, I mean, they continue to execute on a very high level, have the most efficient uh, rigs, and I'm really excited about their H2, the second half of this year, and the products that they release. If they get to the 5 joules per terahash miner that they've advertised, then I think that this thing could go a lot higher. They've really rethunk the Bitcoin miner ASIC design from first principles, and I think that may position it to be the leading mining or mining equipment producer, Bitcoin mining equipment producer. And if you think that Bitcoin, may become, a competition to gold or something like that, then the best mining equipment producer, should be at least tens of billions of dollars in market cap, I think. So I'm hoping that we get, more updates on their path to becoming and solidifying their position as the best mining equipment producer on the market right now. Um, Nizna says, Salam Rakaan, without your steadfast reassurance and experience, I would have probably freaked out and made very expensive mistakes. Oh, that's great to hear. Thanks, Nizna. I really appreciate that. And thanks for your support. Renegade says, Salam alaikum. I am planning to subscribe for PIF member. I just want to know if there is any prerequisite, like in terms of the amount of dry powder or any other things. No, there are no prerequisites. I think that the earlier you start, the better, because the more experience you gain. Like I've noticed, and I'm sure community members have noticed, how much more mature the community has become over these last, 2.5 years that we've been offering PIF memberships. The level of commentary on the markets and the level of level-headedness has really increased, and I think right now we have like really insightful members that have been around the block a few times, and so they really understand what's going on. And the earlier you start, regardless of the amount that you start with, the earlier you start, the more time you have to develop the right temperament in investing. And I think that that's the most important thing. Any comment on PLL's performance? I will have an update for members in the next 24 hours, inshallah, for PLL. With the tariff med news, do you foresee a pause on the crypto run? Crypto especially, I think, is, and I was expecting a crypto run despite the tariffs. So I think crypto especially is correlated with liquidity levels. And so, it's not going to be a straight shot upwards, but I do think that we have a lot more to go here because of liquidity and my forecast for it globally, not just in the United States. Aside from, all of the positive developments on the regulatory front. And so I maintain my 200,000 Bitcoin price target for 2025, despite the setback that we saw with the tariffs. I still think that that's in play. So we'll see. Is lending stock halal or haram? I think generally that's haram. Assalamu alaikum. Hope you are well. Would you invest in Gryphon digital mining? I saw that, and I saw it's up. I think it tripled right today. Something with Trump's children, getting a part of that. I'm not really an expert on Gryphon digital mining, but I don't like to chase, and so something that tripled in a single day is not necessarily something that I will be buying. Although I think it's worth taking a look at, and maybe it will let us know about other similar opportunities that might pop up. But I'm probably going to take the rest of the day to read up on that. What if Fed just doesn't move this year due to tax cuts, the administration delivers, and the economy being okay, and inflation not getting down to 2% target? Would you allocate heavier to BTC? Well, what you're saying is, what if Fed just doesn't move this year because everything is so good, with exception to inflation? And I think it's like, if things are really great, then great, equities will perform well, buoyed by the earnings that they report. On the other hand, if things don't go as great, then the Fed has a reason to cut. And we're not necessarily at 2% target, but it does seem like we're moving towards that, and we're not that much removed from 2%. So I think there's solid reason to be optimistic. No, there's no glitch in the sell price, brother. Yeah. Follow up, or more to dividend plays, maybe due to less growth. Sorry. Would you allocate heavier to BTC or more to dividend plays, maybe due to less growth? That really depends on what your objectives are, and how much risk you want to take. Obviously, there's more volatility in Bitcoin than there is in dividend, so it depends on what you want to prioritize. I think I answered that. While lending stocks is not halal. وإياكم أحسان. Pakhtun Basha. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Just wanted to know why iron was so slow to react to the market. I mean, I think it did well today. I mean, it's up close to 7%. I'll take that for today's move. So, you can't expect all correlations to be perfect. There are a lot of other things that go into the movement of a Bitcoin miner, for example. Dilution is one of them, obviously. But also Iris Energy's other stated focus, which is high performance computing and AI and data centers are going to play a role, and how that market is shaping up. So the best thing I can say is just be patient and have confidence in the theses that you have for the positions. And if they're not manifesting immediately and you have to wait, well, that's why you're getting paid for being an investor. If it was immediate, then the returns would be much lower, and anyone could do it. But the trick is to have the foresight and have the conviction necessary to hold for as long as you need to in order for the thesis that you have to play out. And so just a friendly reminder there. Remember, markets are a tool for transferring wealth from the impatient to the patient. And so I encourage you to be among the patient. With that being said, do leave a like if you enjoyed this live. Become a PIF member if you haven't already. Until next time, make sure to take care of yourself. Assalamu alaikum, and peace be upon you all.